Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
We are Love to Hate, where we help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at World Wonders by Arcane Wonders.
World Wonders is a Polyomino game in which you are going to be building some of the greatest wonders the world has ever known. Hence the name, World Wonders. And not only are you going to be building those wonders, but you actually have the wonders be a part of the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have wooden replicas, wooden miniatures of the different wonders that are on your board. Really fascinating part of this game is the table presence with this one,
I want to play with all the pieces.
We'll get into that later on when we share our thoughts on this game, but you're going to get to see what I'm talking about as we go down to the table and show you how this game works, and then we'll come back and share our thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer. All right, I have World Wonders on the table for you all. Let me show you how this Polyomino game is going to work. Now, with this game, you have a lot of components. Everybody is going to have their own player board, and these player boards are double-sided. There's one side that has a lake in the middle of it, and another side that has a river running through it. You'll decide which sides you will play on, and everybody will have to play on the same side. We're going to stick to this side for this rules overview video. And then everybody's also going to have their own player board down here where they're keeping track of their gold, population, and 3 different resources. Although you're not going to be spending these resources, you will be trying to progress down these tracks here. I'm going to keep this off frame as it's largely not that important for me to show it to you as compared to the other components. You do have a middle board here in the middle of the playing area that's going to have all the polyominoes that you are able to purchase throughout the game, as well as keeping turn track order up here. You have lots of cards, and as you can see back there in the background, hopefully it's in focus for you all, there are lots of wooden miniatures of the different wonders that you will be making in this game that are, they come from history throughout the course of the history of the world and all the different world wonders that we have come to know. Now, in this game, how it's going to work, you will be purchasing things that are in this market here and playing them to your board, hopefully with the intent on progressing down these tracks that I showed you just a minute ago to eventually get the most victory points when the end game is triggered. How a turn is going to work, you will determine turn order for the beginning of the game, and you'll place your player pieces in the order that you have determined. So in this case, the blue player will be first, and starting with them, they will spend a number of gold on anything in the market. Now, you do have a player rate here that helps you to remember how much certain things cost, and I do want to point out that this setup will look different based upon the number of players that you have in the game, so it may not look exactly like this. If you do have more players in the game, there will be even more different polyomino tokens for you to use, and there will be sideboards that will be added to this main board to display these extra pieces. So just note that it may look a little bit different. But starting with the first player, you can choose to purchase one of these tokens out here, and their cost is printed on the stack that they come from. So for instance, this little guy right here, he is going to cost 3 gold, whereas this big guy right here, he's going to cost 5 gold. And so these different tiles will cost how much it's printed on their backs. But you could purchase this tower here for 2 gold, one of these different sets of roads for 1 gold, or you could pick turn order for the next round, paying 1 gold. And so if I'm the first person to do that, I would take my player piece and place it on the first pedestal there, and that would allow me to go first in the next round. And then later on in the round, if somebody else were to want to do that for 1 gold, they could place themselves on the second pedestal and be second place in the next round. There is one other thing that you can use your gold for, and that is to get a wonder, but we'll cover that here in just a minute. Let's talk about these tiles right here that are in the market. Now, when you purchase one of these, you will take it and you will not refill that spot. There's only going to be one of each of these for the round, and this will also help you to keep track of what round you're in, because there are 10 in each of these stacks, and the game lasts 10 rounds, although it could end earlier than that, but it will not go more than 10 rounds. Now, with these tiles, there are some rules about placement, and you do have the rules listed here on the back of your player aid. You have to place building tiles adjacent to other building tiles that share the same color. So you can see that the building tiles do come in different colors. You've got blue, purple, orange, green, and white. And so I would want to try to get these two tiles to be adjacent, and by adjacent, they need to share a side, cannot share corners. Or I can place it next to a road. So that's what these are. These are roads. You start the game with one long road, but you can purchase more roads throughout the course of the game. And on the first turn, when you buy a building tile, you will first build your road that you start the game with, and roads have to touch other roads. However, at the bottom of your board is a road. As you can see, it's a sidewalk, actually. So this first road that I have here, I'm going to place it touching somewhere on the bottom of the board, so maybe right here like so, and you do have to place them fully within the grids. And now I place this building, and it just has to be adjacent to this road, and so maybe I might do something like that. And you are inclined to try and fully surround your building tiles with either some object that's on the board, such as this lake, or other tiles, because you will get one victory point for every building that you've fully enclosed. So doing something like that might be good for me. And then on these building tiles, there are going to be different resources. So you can see here there are 2 blue cogs, and what that corresponds to are the blue track on my player board right here, and I would bump that up 2 because of the 2 blue cogs from the tile that I just built. Now, on these different tracks, you can see that there are the little icon here that matches the population marker, and every time you move one of these markers onto or over one of these spaces, you're going to bump up your population. And that is important because you will want to be trying to get to these rings at the end of the population track. The ring is victory points, so every time you see one of these rings, you want to try to get it. That is a victory point for you. And one of the ways the game can come to an end is if anybody moves their population marker all the way to this purple spot right here. That will trigger the end game. So you do want to try to advance your population as fast as possible. Now, while we're looking at this board real quick, the way you keep track of the gold that you spend in a round, you're going to move this marker 1 space for every gold that you spent. So we just bought that building tile that was 3 gold, and we would advance it 3 spaces on this. Now, you only have 7 gold to spend each round, and so you do want to make sure that you are budgeting wisely, because if I spend so much gold and then I have a little bit left over, but there's nothing for me to spend that on because we don't refill these things as they are purchased throughout the round. If I don't have anything out there that's 2 or less for me to buy, then I'm just, I can't do anything and I have to pass. And once everybody passes, that's going to end the round. So I do want to try to spend my gold wisely. Now, I can take out a loan. That's what these 2 extra spots right here, 8 and 9, are about. On any turn, before I take my action or after I take my action, I can take a loan, which will allow me to spend up to 9 gold for that round, but that round only. And so when I do that, I do have to flip this tile over, which shows that I will either need to spend 3 gold in a future round to repay this loan, or it's going to cost me 2 victory points. So I do want to try to be very wise about when I take a loan. Now, you can only ever have 1 loan at a time. You can't take multiple loans out. So you do have to repay back a loan before you could take out another loan if you needed to do that again later on in the game. So that's the idea with the building tiles. Now, the other thing with these building tiles is that you want to try to arrange the things that are on your board in a manner that helps you to get these wonders. And this is kind of the whole point of the game. I mentioned earlier that one of the other things that you could purchase in the game, in addition to roads and turn order, these towers, which we'll come back to what towers do in just a second, and building tiles, is to get the wonders. Now, the wonders have a couple of requirements on them. They're going to show you how many spots on your board that this particular wonder is going to take up. Now, this is the Colosseum here, and let me grab that. Here we go. This is the Colosseum, and you can see that it sort of matches the picture there, and it also kind of looks a little bit like what the Colosseum looks like. And when you build this Colosseum, you're going to have to find a spot on your board that fills that up, and you do have to place this adjacent to the things that are on the card. So this Colosseum needs to be adjacent to a road, an orange building, and a white building. And it has to touch all three of those things before you can build it. So to give an example here, maybe we do something like this on future turns, or previous turns, excuse me. And so we see here that I could place this Colosseum right here like such, and it would be touching an orange building, a road, and a white building. And I have fully done the Colosseum. Now, I will receive 1 victory point at the end of the game, but I will also get to increase my population by 1. The benefits are going to be different for each different wonder that you build. Now, when you build a wonder, you do have to spend whatever remaining gold that you have left on your board, whether that be only 1 gold, or if that is, let's say, 6 gold. You will have to spend all your remaining gold. And if you took out a loan, then you're going to spend all that gold too as well. So just be aware that when you buy a wonder, that essentially ends the round for you, because it's the last thing that you can do for that turn. You do not refill the wonders out either. Those will not refill till the next round. And again, that's what you're basically doing with the game here. You are trying to get these buildings in such ways that allow you to build these wonders, because they're going to give a lot of points. But you also want to try to enclose your buildings completely in order to get the bonus point for having it fully surrounded. Now, other ways that you're getting points in this game, these little spots right here, they're like oasis little spots, or nutrient-rich spots, or whatever you want to consider them to be. But basically, you want to have tiles that are adjacent to them. So you need to branch out your tiles here. Now, I know this is not legal placement, but just know that you want to try to get tiles to be touching these different spots, and you'll get 1 point for each one that you were able to get to throughout the course of the game. Now, also take note that there are going to be some wonders that do have requirements of being on water, such as the Lighthouse of Alexandria. 1 spot will need to be fully on water, and as I showed you at the beginning of the video, water is going to be in different spots depending on which side of the board you play on. So just be aware of that. But that's pretty much what's going to be the gist with this game. There are extra cards to have you play solo if that's something that you like to do, and there's an advanced variant where you can have these goals, personal goals that you are trying to work towards for extra strategy competition and victory points that you can earn throughout the course of the game. But that's the gist of what you have here with World Wonders. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on this one. And we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on World Wonders from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective. And we've decided to break some of the pieces out here for you guys to see some of the wonders and just show you just how unique and cool they are. Yeah. Sam came up with the idea. We got to get these out on the table, and yeah, they're fun to play with. Yeah. So, but Sam, let's start with that aspect of it, because my first impression when I saw this game and I saw the box was not that it was going to be one that would be more like a toy, fun kind of playing. Like, I want my board games to be fun, don't get me wrong. But the first impression I got when I saw this box was, man, that's going to be a heavy Euro game.
Yes.
And it's not.
No, it's
right?
not. Yeah.
It's not. It's a Polyomino, light to medium weight game that's going to have these really cool wooden, chunky.
It's very similar to how we felt about Foundations of Rome.
Yes, it is. So much so that I posted on Instagram the other day after playing this with Sam how Arcane Wonders really blew us out of the water last year with Foundations of Rome with the table presence. And here they are at it again with World Wonders. Yeah. It's a different kind of table presence because, you know, Foundations of Rome was a lot of intricate little details on the buildings, and that, you know, you looked at it and it was like, holy cow, this is just, you know, incredible. And this is more along the lines of, I just love how you've got these little wooden representations of some of the most famous things that our world has ever seen. And it's just a cool thing to have out on the table. So What was that like for you as a non-gamer?
I mean, it's fun. It's to be able to feel and touch, and
Yeah,
it's not just a card that you're putting out. It's not just
exactly.
a
Yeah,
plain colored block that represents something.
yeah.
Like, it just makes it more visually stimulating and, I don't know, just more enjoyable. It doesn't feel like I'm playing a board game, but I'm creating something.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you throw on top of that each of them are going to come in different sizes. Like here's Petra, Indiana Jones. And it looks like it, but it doesn't take up as much space as the Great Wall of China,
Yeah.
right? And Great Wall of China's got these 3 different parts that you got to be adjacent to each other. And maybe you have them in a straight line, maybe you don't,
And then the pyramids.
And the pyramids, they're going to take up a ton of space.
This is one card. So
Right.
you would get all 3 of those to put on your board, and all of them have different requirements. It needs
Yep.
to be next to a blue. It needs to be next to a wall. They need to be this many spaces apart. So
The lighthouse has to be on the water.
Yes. So there is a lot of
Just the game changes based on what
yes.
wonders you have and whether you're able to put them on your board or not.
Yeah.
And obviously the easier ones to place give you fewer points. The ones that are more difficult to place
Yeah.
give you more points. But every game's going to be so different because of that, with the different ways
Yeah.
the wonders come out and how they can fit on your board. So that's something we wanted to make sure to get out there from the top of the video, because that's such a fun
Yes.
part of the game,
Yeah.
is the wonders. And I love that is such a focal point of the game when the game is called World Wonders. It
Yeah.
better be a part of the game that's super
But they
important.
could have
and
so
it is.
easily made it a color block,
Yes,
a colored
yeah.
polyomino. So I do appreciate how
Yeah.
much work and effort went into creating this.
Exactly. Now let's talk about, because it is a polyomino game, right? And polyomino games there's a lot of them out there now. It used to not be such a...
Clearly, wait till our top 10.
I know, right? There's been a ton of them this year. It used to be something that was more kind of a novelty, a novel idea, a Uwe Rosenberg, game. He used to be the only person that made polyomino games, it felt like. And now there's a lot more of them.
Yeah.
And when that happens, when a theme gets done a lot, or when a mechanic gets done a lot, it can sort of feel like, okay, now we're getting a lot of these. There's
Yeah.
a dime a dozen. What's different about this one? So I want to ask you, Sam, what's different about this polyomino game, or is there anything different? Is the wonders the only aspect of it that's different?
The wonders are definitely a huge aspect of it. And I think how it asks you to place them and what you want to put around it. I think I was very intentional with, okay, those are the cards out there. This, I might not do it this round. You did have time, I feel like, in a 2-person game, have time to kind of consider which wonders you were going to pick, and kind of plan, this is what my landscape looks like, this is what's going to fit there. I loved how the money worked in the game.
Yeah,
I thought
was
that
gonna
was
say that.
fantastic. And just it's a very intentional game. And so yes, you are seeing how things fit together, but also you're kind of looking at it visually to see what it's going to look like, how is each wonder going to help you out? Is it going to raise your population? Each tile did different things for you. The scoring aspect. I mean, it's a heavier polyomino game, but not in a bad way.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because there were several times when I was having to ask myself, yeah, that's the perfect polyomino to fit in that spot, right? And it works for me as far as placement goes, because it's the same color as the one next to it, so I can definitely put it there. But it wasn't the one that gave me the most points. Or it wasn't the one that set me up for getting that wonder that I know I really need right now to get me the points, or to fill up that part on my board, to enclose those other buildings so that I'm getting points for them at the end of the game. There were several times where I was having to do that. And I don't always get that out of other polyomino games, because in other games it's always about what's the piece that works best for that spot.
Oh, I think one aspect that works so well is, I said I love how the money and the money works. Well, how you get the wonders is you just have to spend
everything you have left.
You have left. So you could have one left, and get all 3 pyramids. And so I don't think there's as much of a rush or much of a push to pick the bet or to pick I have to get that one, but I need enough money, so I need to, not do certain other things. You kind of have to, you get to spend your money how you want.
And see, my thing on that I wanted to throw out there on the money is that I love how you said there's not a rush, but I definitely felt the stress factor in knowing, okay, do I go ahead and spend all what I have left now? I may have 3 gold left that I could use on something else, right? Like I could take one more turn to get that one extra thing that I want out of this round. But I don't want to let you steal it out from under my feet, right?
I didn't feel that way.
And if you have more people in the game, that's even more, more so.
Yeah.
And so I definitely felt that stress, and I loved that aspect of this game.
I think it was a good level of stress because I don't like ones that are so like,
you blocked me out.
You're punching each other to get what you need. I think it's the same way I feel about Splendor, which again, one of my favorite games, because there's that stress. You need to get that, but it's not so high that I'm crying after it. So,
all right, let's get to pros and cons for World Wonders. What for you, Sam, stands out to you that makes this a good game for non-gamers?
Besides all the
pretty little toys,
I mean, it's wonderful. I think
I see what you did there.
Oh, I didn't even know that. It is though. They did a fantastic. The production of this game is just top notch.
Yeah, it is.
And I think the end result of your board is just so interesting and so pretty.
Table presence.
Yes, all of it, and just how you're fitting the polyominoes together. I don't think I can really communicate how different it feels than some of the other polyomino games because it doesn't have to be. There's so many options for something that can fill that one tiny space that you need. So you're not having to find the pieces that fit absolutely puzzle piece together because there's so many. I mean, this is probably 6 pieces, and then this is going to be multiple pieces different ways.
Sure.
So you're filling in those spaces pretty easily, but completely different than the person you're playing with.
Yeah, and I think the priorities are different in this game than some other polyomino games, because in a lot of polyomino games, it may be just filling up space, right? Like, or being adjacent to something else. And those are still important things in this game, but it's more, what's good for me right now, right? Like, do I need the resources on those buildings? Do I need the colors to match? Do I need roads so that I can expand across my board to use other parts of my board that otherwise I can't even get to without those roads?
Yeah.
And if I need the roads, then I need the towers.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's several things that change up the priority list with what you're doing in this game that you just don't really experience with some other polyomino games.
Yeah.
And like Sam said, it does make the game a little bit heavier, which may be a con that we talk about here in just a second. But I don't know that it makes it super heavy because I still feel like, and this is a pro for me, I still feel like the theme of this game is the mechanic. The theme of the game is making these wonders and making the environment for the wonders to happen in, and that just comes out in the game so well with this. And so I feel like that makes it intuitive for a lot of people. You need the buildings to set up to make these wonders happen. So build the buildings that match up with the wonders.
Yeah.
That's an easy concept.
Yeah.
So any other pros for you about this one?
I mean, like I said earlier, I thought the scoring was really great in it. I think that you're moving up different tracks, and ultimately it's about the population. It is just a really smart, I think, way of scoring things.
Yeah, that was enjoyable too, for sure. Anything about it that doesn't work so great for you?
I mean, there's not honestly something that just comes right to my mind.
Okay. I'll throw one thing out there. The box says the game lasts 70 minutes. If you know us...
Which is shocking that I even played it.
Well, that's what I was about to say. If you know us, you'll know that means that this is definitely on the lengthier end for what we would typically show here on Love to Hate. And I know there's a lot of you out there that's watching this video that probably thinks, that's ridiculous. That's not a long game. I would agree with you. That's not a long game. She would disagree with you. adamantly. That is a very long game.
I see more than 60 on a box. Even 60. 60 is pushing it.
And I would beg that I think that there would be a lot of people that would side on her end of that spectrum. That 70 minutes is a you're asking a lot.
Yeah.
Because you got to teach the game.
Finite time.
You got to set up the game, and you got to have the energy to have that person invested 70 minutes worth, from beginning to end. Now, I think the game is so enjoyable that a lot of people will be invested from beginning to end.
Well, I was going to say, this is the first time I'm realizing this.
That it was that long?
Yeah, did it last that long?
I think it did, yeah.
It did not feel that long. It didn't. I honestly had no idea that. Yeah, I would probably have said 45 minutes.
I think that's proof that this is a game that we really like, because it doesn't feel like it's that long.
Yeah.
But
now, that might deter people.
That's what I'm getting at, right? Like that. I think, it doesn't feel long. Could they have been better served to maybe find a way to make it a little shorter? Maybe, because I think there might be people out there that would be like, "Ooh, a 45-minute game. That's great."
Yeah, but
you put 70 on the box. But again, I think a lot of people are not going to have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But if you're someone who games with non-gamers, you might.
Yeah.
So that would be the only con that I would throw out there.
Put a sticker over that.
Don't even look at it, right? Don't even show it to people.
30 minutes. I don't know.
All right, let's get to our scores here for World Wonders. I'm going to go first on this one because I think Sam's going to just, rock the world here. This is the best game ever. Number one game of all time. And that's what she wants to say, and that's fine. That's her prerogative.
Judge.
I do really like this game. I really like Polyomino games to begin with, so maybe I'm already a little biased about it. But for me, this is an incredibly different Polyomino game. It's not your standard Polyomino. And when I say standard Polyomino games tend to be more lighter. They tend to be more of a straight concept. Get these Tetris pieces in the spots that work best for you. This does have that, but as I've already said, it takes it to another level. You're thinking about a lot of other things. Your priorities change with this one. And then you throw in these wooden miniatures, these wooden wonders. That just takes the cool factor through the roof on this one. I'm going to give it an 8.4. I really, really, really like this game. It was one that was on my radar from the moment I heard about it and understood the concept of it, but I didn't know how much I didn't think I would like it as much as I do, because these suckers just take it to the next level, like I said. So just a really cool factor with this game. So 8.4 for me. Where's this one at for you?
It is a really great game. It possibly could end up being definitely in my top. I think it'll be on our top, both of our top 10s.
Yeah.
It could end up being
number one.
It could, but also my long-term memory of games we've played is like 0. So they probably
we have played a lot of games.
I think, it's going to be very high up there. I would probably give it an 8.6.
Okay. All right. 8.6 is really stinking high for you.
Yeah.
Why is this one that could be a number one game for you for 2023?
I know I say I don't like long games. I don't. That's a lot of my time to spend doing something. We have 4 kids. I work nights. My time is very minimal. But when I can play something and enjoy the whole thing and it not feel that long, that is an enjoyable night for me and Lance, to be able to play something like that and it not feel like 70 minutes. 'Cause there are many games 45 minutes is too long. I may enjoy it, but okay, let's wrap it up. And at no point in this game did I feel like, okay, it can end now. It was just enjoyable from beginning to end. It was easy to understand, but not too light. I just think it's a really great game.
Okay.
For gamers and non-gamers.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
So there you have it. That's our thoughts on World Wonders. It is from Arcane Wonders. Don't get that mixed up. Leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about this Polyomino game.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we bridge the gap between gamers and non gamers. We'll catch you next time.